We all enjoy wasting our time away watching something. Whether it's that one net drama airing weekly on TV, playing video games, or maybe it's reading a book. However, I've lately found myself in love with rom-coms. Well, mostly anime rom-coms, that is. Ironically, I've talked a lot about how I've lost my interest in anime and manga over the last couple of years, but I didn't realize that it wasn't for anime and manga as a whole, but rather the typical action-packed shonen that everyone seems to adore, as I feel as if they're over-exaggerated a little bit too much for my taste. Whether it's because I notice blatantly obvious mistakes that these martial art-based characters make, as someone who has trained martial arts, or if it's just pure boredom. I noticed this as I a few months ago started rewatching an anime by the name of My Youth Romantic Comedy Is Wrong, as I expected. And an anime about high school boy by the name of Hakigama Hachimon that is forced to join the school service club by his teacher. At the club he meets Yukinoshita Yukino, whom is perceived as a smart and beautiful girl that has received the nickname Ice Cold Beauty as she tends to be quite cold towards others. Hachimon later on also ends up meeting Yugihama Yui, who is a cheerful and positive outgoing girl as she becomes the first person to ask the club for help and ends up joining the club later on. The anime proceeds to tell the story of how they worked together as the service club to help the people that came to them in need, whether it was to confess their love or if it was to write a script. The three always did their best to help, even if it was a task that seemed almost impossible. My Youth Romantic Comedy Is Wrong As I Expected is a great romance comedy slice of life that constantly made me laugh. The character development is great, the jokes are constantly funny, and all the characters have enjoyable backstories. The show made me constantly laugh, and the story kept building up with more interesting characters constantly to the point where it was hard not to remember all the different side characters as none of them ever felt bland. Overall, I think My Youth Romantic Comedy Is Wrong As I Expected is a great watch as it brings forth some really amazing storytelling that to me personally opened me up to watch some more rom-com anime as I realized that I do enjoy anime and that it's rather more popular over-exaggerated shonen that I don't really enjoy. After watching My Youth Romantic Comedy As Wrong As I Expected, I kinda realized that this isn't the first time I've had this happen where I don't think I enjoy anime, but it turns out that I do like some type of anime which turns out to be a rom-com. As in 2018, I watched Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai whilst it was airing. Bunny Girl Senpai is an anime about a high school student by the name of Sakuta Azuzagawa, a boy who lives with his younger sister, Kaede. Sakuta comes off at first as a very antisocial and dull person, but as the story goes on, the viewer gets to see other sides of him, such as how he is a very gleeful and optimistic person around a girl by the name of Mai Sakurajima, a famous celebrity who is also a third year at his high school. Sakuta meets and becomes friends with Mai as he meets her whilst she is walking around in a library in a bunny girl costume. But somehow, no one is reacting to what she is doing. He quickly finds out that she's a victim of a syndrome called adolescence syndrome, which leads to that no one is able to see her, which makes both of them want to try and find a way to keep Mai from disappearing completely. I, at the time of Bunny Girl Senpai's release, had noticed I couldn't really find an anime that I enjoyed and thought that maybe I'd just grown away from it, but rather realized that I was tired of the typical action-packed anime most people seem to enjoy, and I needed something new and fresh to fully enjoy anime again. This led to I recently started watching a lot more rom-coms along with romance slice of life anime, even though I didn't enjoy them quite as much as rom-coms. I feel bad for my neighbors. It's only 7 PM. They should be fine. Just a week before recording this video, I was browsing the newer anime that was airing this summer and saw the first episode of Rent a Girlfriend on the front page. The first episode had just been released that night and I decided to watch it. I instantly fell in love with the anime and how the first episode was written. Rent a Girlfriend is about a first-year college student by the name of Kazuya Kinoshita, who had just started college. He was having a great time as he was happy and most importantly had an insanely cute girlfriend by the name of Mami Nanami, who was in love with someone else. Yep, you heard me. She broke up with Kazuya, and after a lot of weeping, and a lot of tissues in the trash can, he saw an ad for an app that he could use to rent girlfriends, and in desperate need to find a cute girl to be with, Kazuya proceeds to rent a girlfriend by the name of Chizuru Mitsuhara, who is an S-tier beauty on the app and the #1 ranked newcomer on the app. They go on a date where they go to an aquarium, and whilst walking home from the date, they start holding hands. Kazuya decides to look onto a forum about rental girlfriends, specifically to see what people were saying about Chizuru. And after finding out that everything she did was her normal routine, he basically flips out and rents her again so that he can give her a piece of her own medicine. During their next date, he decides to, in public at the aquarium, tell her how he feels about what she does, and she proceeds to drag him out of there and basically, rightfully so, scold him for being mad at her for doing her job. In the middle of her scolding him, Kazuya receives a call about the fact that his beloved grandmother had fallen ill and has been hospitalized, and rushes over to the hospital. At the hospital, Kazuya meets his grandmother and his parents, who all are curious about who Chizuru is, as she has followed him to the hospital as their date wasn't over and she wasn't done scolding her. In a panic, Kazuya introduces her to them as his girlfriend, and Chizuru decides to play along. Kazuya's grandmother got so happy that she had to brag about it to her friends at the hospital, and Chizuru starts freaking out as her own grandmother is also a patient at the hospital. After trying to get away as Chizuru's grandmother doesn't know about her job, they're found by her grandmother, and she also ends up lying to her grandmother about them being in a relationship. There is a lot more to the story than what I have explained so far, and I highly recommend watching it as it is airing right now. After a few days of waiting for episode 2, I couldn't keep myself patient enough to wait for it, so I decided to read the manga. All 149 chapters that are released today, in 3 days. I have never before enjoyed a manga to the point where I could read it for pretty much 3 days straight. Well, aside from some Valorant games that I played on my stream. Link in description. And I can say that I highly recommend watching the anime or reading the manga, as after seeing episode 2 of the anime, I'm really interested to see what direction they will take it, as so far the way they build characters in the anime is a little bit different to the manga. With that being said, I never thought I'd be stuck at 20 years old constantly watching and reading rom-com anime and manga, as I never really thought I'd find myself enjoying it as much as I do. Which is why I also highly recommend that if you as a viewer haven't watched any or don't think it's your thing, to at least give it a try, as I didn't think it'd be my thing either, but here I am making an entire video about how I found myself loving them. All anime don't have to be action-packed shonen series to be enjoyable, and I think a lot of people would really enjoy these type of rom-com animes if they would just give them a chance. With that being said, my name is Gabe, and I am off to go hang out on Twitter or play video games or even watch another rom-com anime. I hope you all have enjoyed this video, as different as it is compared to the other content on my channel, and I will see you all in the future. Goodbye.